This conference will now be recorded.
A little quicker though now, don't you?
I look around and see who's watching when I get off the mowers. Oh. I'm fine, I can sit there for 5 hours on a mower, but getting off is painful.
Good suspension on mowers now. About 5 hours of sitting.
Yeah.
I like the sulkies where you stand behind the ones that pull you.
Yeah, I used to run one of those at a cemetery.
Mhm.
Whip right around. That's no after.
It's just what it is.
You're not down there.
Desecrate.
She had a shower today, my guess is she'll be tired. Just from that, so.
Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you
Hey,
doing?
Joan.
How are you?
Pretty good, yourself?
I'm good too. I'm good today. This weather.
Right?
Are you kidding? We should take half a day off and enjoy.
No, I was stuck in meetings all day.
Oh, really? So nothing that you can really control.
Nothing that I can
Just
control,
happen.
no.
All right. If it's not controllable, were they right in Rochester? Did you have to go?
They were just in Rochester. They were all teams meetings, so just sitting on my computer. Which I could have done, I guess, sitting outside, but
It's the way of the world now. Vince has well, he gets in a little trouble at work and then they gotta set up meetings and we just usually do them on, the phone or the computer too. Just a little easier.
I can relate.
Hello, a little. Thank you. How are you?
Good.
You guys going? I'm taking a trip in.
we're going to Boston in June.
How many days? will we-
Just 4 days.
Better than nothing. You do like a weekend?
You want to hit record there,
Middle of the
Chief?
week.
Better,
When?
better price for flights?
Better price for flights and there's less people on the ground when you get there.
Wait.
Do you have any
The
amendment?
lady trip was out there and I would.
Not on the
second.
agenda.
We have so much fun.
We'll have a
Right now,
couple
my
of
friends are
changes
like,
on
no,
the
Joel,
plan.
if we can, then we go to another place.
Yeah, Helen's.
So I told
Miles
people,
will explain
"Oh,
that.
no." It was
I do have a,
funny. You can't
I guess I
see
do. on the-
1 inch of what you
On
need
the
to see.
agenda that was sent out, I had it, well, I sent it out again, so no.
Have you been?
I got 6 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. We'll start the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. There is no amendment, so I just need adoption of the agenda.
Make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. We'll open the public comment portions. Individuals may address the city council about any items of concern. Speakers must state their name and limit their remarks to 3 minutes. Any public comments? I will close the public comment portion and we'll jump to consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered routine by council and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items. unless a council member requests, in which case the item will be removed from consent agenda and be considered in its normal sequence on the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 500. Accounts payable, Kevin.
All right, just a couple things to draw attention to here. Number 82716, the snow pusher for $33,500. Jeff, that's come in and what we ordered and looks great, great. Then just two more here, 82727 and 82729, the engineering for Pleasant Avenue, moving right along for $44,850 and $72,150. So unless there's any questions, I'll make a motion to approve accounts payable in a total of $356,372.27.
I'll second.
Any other discussions on accounts payable? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 500. Thanks, Kevin. Unfinished business, resolution 2026-15, accept or reject pool bids. I don't know if we need to do any more discussions. If you want to do any more discussions, we kind of know where we're at.
I had one, I was at EDA yesterday, last night, and Kurt said that CETA, or working here with the city, that they have applied for $150,000
Grant.
grant.
Grant through the Blandon Foundation.
Yeah.
Yep, so that's being applied for. They're kind of, I think it's already been applied for, but we'll need to get them the decision from tonight, of course. We've also had a couple of citizens stop in and ask if we made a decision, because they're, once we do, they're wanting to put something towards the pool, So I think, like we discussed, if we move forward with it, I think fundraising will pick up again.
Well, I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2026-15 to accept the bids received for the proposed construction of the Zumbrota pool. And with that, direct staff to move forward with the tax abatement.
I will second that. Any further discussions? I will do roll call. Bob?
Nay.
Joan?
Aye.
Kevin?
Nay.
Fred?
Aye.
Passes 3-2. Thanks for the hard work, and we'll start moving forward with the pool. We'll start with new business, 2026 street reconstruction Pleasant Avenue Loop. Mr. Angerman. Heavy on the mister.
Thank you, Mayor. In front of you, you'll have the bids that we opened yesterday for the 2026 street project. We had 7 bidders. The low bid, sorry, I gotta click on mine as well, was submitted by Elcon Excavating in the amount of $2,345,821. Our estimate on this was $2.5 million. So the good news is we're under budget. I do want to point out one thing though that we did, that is in the week prior to the bidding, we had some requests that could we do this project over 2 years. So we were told that if we did that, we would get more bidders and potentially better prices. So after consulting with Brian and Jeff, we did make the decision to allow a 2-year window to complete the project. We are not sure if this is why we're $150,000 or not under bid. It is their choice. That's how we worded it, that they could do that. So we won't really know that until we get to sign a contract and get into a scheduling in the next couple of weeks. So I just wanted to make sure, pointed that out, because that is a change from what we had originally discussed. So If it ends up being that we will do this over 2 years, we will communicate with the residents and send something out them to let them know. But otherwise, I always am happy when we're under budget. So I guess I didn't have anything else to add, Brian, unless there's anything else. Otherwise, council, if you have any questions. So I'm sorry, recommendation is to accept the bids and to award a contract to Elcon Excavating in the previously mentioned amount.
When you talk about 2 years, what kind of things do they, in the 2 year time span, do they do? Do they get so much done and then kind of hold off, or is it sectioned?
We would allow them to do it in sections. So they would have to do one area, complete it completely, and then the second area the next year. So it would be in essence, the north half and then the south half, because in essence, we'd be starting at, guess the low point in where the sewer is in the system, and then, work our way up. So what we would do is we'd say, these are the streets that you can work on. So we can't have it be tear everything out and let it be a free for all for 2 years.
And that was the question I believe that Jeff and Brian I had was, by doing 2 years that we're not leaving part of it gravel. So when it comes to plowing and snowing, we're not having a gravel issue. And Jeff and
Yep, that's correct.
He said that they'll at least have their first lift of pavement on, for then we're not getting gravel and stuff. And that would have been my concern of doing the 2 year. So I believe Jeff and Brian and I had that conversation a week or two ago when that came up.
Plan to the city, if that's what they choose to do.
Yep, exactly. Thank you, Jeff.
And that was originally done by the bidders that said could be due to?
Yes, we received that request, correct.
From one of the bidders, so then we had to give it to Ellen.
It was not the low bidder that made that request.
Since I've been here historically, options are always good, especially when we're trying to fit within a budget. Over 2 years would be not a bad thing for the budget. The way dollars come in, spreading over 2 years would be okay, budget wise, and inconvenience wise, maybe, but it would only be half of the people inconvenience 1 year and half the next year. So, so all in all, it wasn't a bad request, and usually we're open to options when requested. Again, for that reason, because it usually results in a better bid that way overall.
What we talked about today, then, does it look like we'll do the rest of that sub-drain then?
Well, we have some discussion about that, where we're a little enough under maybe to do the rest of the sub-drain. That's something we'll discuss as we move forward. We had some contingencies in there, and yeah, it's just something that we need to look at as we go. We got a really good price on the sub-drain per foot, so it's feasible to look at doing that now.
Yeah, but and Fred, what we're anticipating is we will bring a recommendation back to the city council.
Motion to accept the low bid for the Pleasant Avenue project.
I'll second that.
Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Mayor.
7B, Charter Franchise Agreement Draft. Brian.
Yes, we're due for a new contract, for a new franchise agreement with Charter. So I've learned quite a bit about this. I spoke with Mike a little bit on it, and it's not his specialty, but he gave me some guidance on it, and offered a recommendation for an attorney that does do that, but that was going to be a ton of money, upwards of $10,000. And I don't think there's enough wiggle room to make that back within these contracts in a small town. Basically, what's in here, everything's pretty much spelled out. And there's not, like I said, there's not much negotiation that I can see. Unless you're talking about the fee, but the fee is also locked in with by federal law, which is a maximum of 5% of gross sales is what a city can ask for a franchise fee. Now we were getting 4% in the last one. I was able to get the 5% in this one. Now, to give you an idea of the dollars we're talking about, at 4%, and this has been a declining number because the cable industry is just going that way. 19,431.76 is a payment that we received in March. And that was at the 4%. So, we were able to get 5% in there. I just wanted to get in front of all of you before I bring it as an ordinance. Just for your review, look at it over the next, well, I guess you're gonna have 3 weeks, because we don't have a meeting until the 7th of May now, I don't think. Get back to me with any questions, and, if we decide that we want to explore, having a fine tooth comb go through it with an attorney, we can certainly do that. But it's a ton of money, and I don't know that we'll make that money back real quick. But by hiring somebody to do it.
What's the reason for the move from 4 to 5%? What does that?
It's 5%, so we will get 5% of gross sales now rather than 4%, which is not a whole lot of dollars, but it was something.
It's the standard, that's a max we can get, is the 5%.
Yes, yep.
But we were just doing 4%.
We were getting 4%, yep, and I asked for 5%, and they agreed on that. I also asked for a backup internet connection here, and they said, no, we just don't do that. And so I didn't get anywhere on that, but those are the only two things I really have asked for so far. I don't know what else you would ask for in an agreement like this. In a small town, there's just not much wiggle space with any of this stuff. And most of it would be inconsequential anyway, in my view, if we were to change anything else in here. So anyway, just for review right now, but, get back to me with questions. I'm certainly willing to look into it more. We're willing to work with Mike some more, and if we need to, and if you want us to look at something in there, we'll definitely do that. But I plan on bringing it back on May 7th as an ordinance for the next 5-year extent, or 10-year agreement is what it is. And then there's an automatic 5-year extension unless someone says 3 years in advance that they don't want it, being either side. So.
Any questions on that so far? Perfect, thanks, Brian. 7C, Care Center, no parking signs. Brian?
Yes, if you recall, we just did no parking on the other side of 4th Street a couple meetings ago, so there's no parking over there. But we received a request from the director over at the care facility, is Zumbrota Health, Amy, requesting no parking signs in the 2 spots indicated on the drawing that I've got there. And the reason being is they have trucks that back in that loading dock area. And if there are cars parked there, they can't get in and out of there. So they would like 2 no parking signs to read no parking from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I spoke with Jeff and the guys, and we thought, well, if we're going to grant that request, we're going to have some labor, we're going to have to buy the signs. So that came up with $243.51. And Amy said, yep, bring it forward. And, if we can do it, we'll get you the dollars. So, but it's got to be council approval to put up no parking signs anywhere. So
That road's tight anyway. I go up that road quite a bit. Hence why we did it down by the apartment complex. And I've also seen a semi-tried their food supplier back in there, and it can be a struggle if not impossible. So if they're willing to pay for the sign and the labor, I guess I'm okay with that.
Is it the one that's the 2 buildings, and is that the area that they go in, or is
This
it
one.
more in the L-shaped parking lot?
right here, right between 2 buildings.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's their loading dock there for the nursing home, and then the care center is on that big side.
I'm guessing they come up from Main Street. So they're not driving around town on their other roads. So they probably come up from Main Street and back right in there.
I think the biggest thing that's going to affect is their employees, because I think a lot of their employees are the ones that are parked there anyway.
Yes.
If you look, that white car behind there, behind them 2 red dots, I think there's another parking spot behind that white car.
Mhm.
Not that we have to do anything about it, but I know if you're coming from this way That is a
Hard
very,
to see.
very tough to see if anything's coming as narrow as that road is. I don't know what we do about it, but I'm just saying that's really
When the cars parked there.
when there's a second car there, it's just really a trouble spot coming, looping out into the traffic to get around them.
I mean, is it worth even, put no parking all from that corner and add 2 more parking spots or no parking signs there? Just because of the safety, because what Fred is talking, it is hard to see coming around that corner because that intersection is cockeyed. So, I mean, just like Fifth is too. And I think this one's even cockeyed more than Fifth is. Yeah,
It just doesn't see quite as much traffic as Fifth, but
100%.
Yeah, going the other direction, you're out past that to see.
Yeah.
But going, yeah, if you're taking a right there, then you're not getting into the other lane of traffic either. And it is painted back quite a ways. Like Fred said, I think there's one more spot there, but, and we did just paint that back, I think farther a couple of years ago. I don't remember if that was our request. I think it was.
I think it was.
So I think we already extended that once, because cars were parking around the corner. And they do have, yeah, it's not a whole lot of parking around there. The residents in the assisted living, there's some handicap spots out here that they use, but then they've got a family that drops stuff off. I did get a call on that. And I said, well, if they're parked the other way, put the flashers on, run stuff in, and then go move your car. You're probably not going to get a ticket.
And I don't think we've had any issues on that. Not that I want to take more parking away from that street either. So, I mean, we've already taken the other side.
Yeah.
It needs to, so that
Yeah.
makes it. But just to give you a heads up, it could.
For sure. But yeah, I would recommend granting the request from Amy. Because again, it's the employees that are going to be impacted by it, so.
I'll make the motion to approve the request,
Second that.
And that's with the nursing home
paying for it.
$250
Yes.
for this time. Any further discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Brian. 7D, Resolution 2026-14, Highlands plat, or final plat. Mr. Rob.
So the city received an application from Bigelow Homes for a final plat to construct 28 single-family homes along the Zumbrota Golf Course. We held a public hearing in February for the preliminary plat per our ordinance, and we had about a dozen residents. You guys did approve the preliminary plat, I think, on the March 19th meeting. But we heard some comments regarding just the construction timeline, road access, and we had some interest in a possible inclusion of a park, because as you may know, some of the other subdivision phases have parks in them, or small ones that are owned by the city and whatnot. As for that goes, that would have been part of the preliminary plat when we first initially saw it. So that won't be included on this one. But city engineer Bill Ingerman has submitted a review letter for you to review. It's in your council packets there, and recommended conditional approval for the final plat. I did end up revising the resolution in your packet. So there's a separate attachment within your tablets I pulled up for you. I made a couple of changes per a request from our city attorney, just to have a little bit of extra help with the final steps here, which are basically just the actual conditions of this resolution, which is basically that they need to get this plat recorded with the county on their own, and they need to enter into a development agreement with us, which we are still kind of working out the details on right now. So we just don't want to make it so the city could possibly lose out on a development agreement. Just covers our butt a little bit, frankly. So that's the revisions you see in there. So if you have any questions, open it up for comments.
They plan on moving dirt this year on it if it gets approved.
That's the plan. Yep.
There's a lot of contingencies in here. Is that normal?
Yeah, I mean, Mike kind of gave me an example from other communities. Or are you talking about the review letter itself?
Comes from Bill or from WHKS. There's what, 15 different things on that list that's got to be accounted for. And I think a couple of them have that I'm aware, but I just there's a lot there.
You guys hear me all right? Sorry, Miles.
Councilmember Pre, there's nothing in there that we would believe would preclude, the recommendation to approve conditional upon these items being addressed. So I think everything in here, so one of the things when we bring something to the council is we make sure that we've talked to them as well as the letter and that they have agreed, at least verbally, that they will do all these. We don't want you to approve something. They say, well, item number 11 or whatever, we're not going to do. So they have told us verbally that they will do all of these items. So we're comfortable with it. You are correct.
More than verbal?
No, well, the verbal part is when you approve it, you're going to approve a conditional
We're
upon this. So,
approving it conditionally.
yep, correct. So if they don't do it, well, then it doesn't happen. You gotta put.
There we go. How about that? Good? So yeah, just in relation to the conditional, we're still kind of working out with staff how we do these, but I always make them conditional. Any final plat approval conditional on the development agreement. Because if they, what if we don't, I think we're going to negotiate a development agreement here, but what if we don't? What if we can't come to an agreement, and both parties can't agree? I think the resolution has to say that you can't move forward with recording the plat or doing this development without that. And I think a lot of the issues, Bill, I haven't looked at the engineering letter specifically, but I'm sure a lot of those issues are probably dealt with within the development agreement itself as well. So you have that, and sometimes I do list specific conditions in the resolution, but typically I only would do that when it was something, like an example would be an easement that we would have to get. If there's some adjacent easement document that they were going to have to grant the city, or that they were going to have to obtain from a third party in order to build what they want to build, I would list that easement directly in the resolution. But anything like an engineering letter, I would either just reference it as all the conditions in the engineering letter dated, whatever it was dated, must be complied with. And I think in this case, if Bill's comfortable with it, I think the development agreement probably will cover all of those things. But before you sign the development agreement, all those things need to be completed or at least addressed in the agreement. And then the other conditions are just standard conditions I always include, which are they have to pay to record the plat, and then they have to record the plat within a certain amount of time. And that can come up when developers have the intent to move dirt, but then things don't work right, and then things change if they wait too long. And so they gotta, once we record the final plat or approve it, they've got to move it forward. And it's expressly conditioned on a development agreement, which should address Bill's concerns if there are outstanding concerns. I don't know what in the list, you said there's 15 things. I don't know what they are and what the nature of them are, but they should be covered in the development agreement. Now I got to turn it off. This is too fancy for me. I can't do it.
So, last time we talked about, you thought something on the streets, they were a little narrow, but there's something, that was all addressed and everything. That's the biggest comment I get when people say, oh, they're going to do developments up there. Well, are the streets, there's two of them out there that really got.
Yeah, you're correct, Fred. So we got the feedback before the 6th, which would have been 5 years ago now, that the street width was, people didn't like it. So the last phase, we made them go back to a standard width. And then we're continuing that through on the 7th, so.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2026-14.
Any further discussions? Bob? Joan? Kevin?
Aye.
Fred?
Right.
And that, aye, that's a 5-0. Vince, Miles, and Mike, and Bill on that. 17, preliminary plat rezone St. Paul Road. Miles?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So Ben Olson Realty has been working with Mark Mangum to they want to sell his lot at 612 St. Paul Road, basically. And so they've submitted preliminary plat application. They're just seeking to subdivide. It's currently an industrial lot, and they're currently seeking to, and it's mostly open space, subdivide it into 5 single-family homes or home lots so they can sell them to a developer. And so we received materials from Bolton and Mank Engineering, and we have a review letter from our city engineer, Bill Angerman, for conditional approval. We held a public hearing this week on April 14th. We heard some comments from the community around there, mostly about the proximity to the floodplain with the river and the current gravel road specifically as well. We kind of have some history with that as council too, as previously council chose not to pave that road. Obviously it was pre me. But we've heard some comments about that. I received some phone calls as well, and it's mostly negative about this project, hoping that we did hear some comments even during the public hearing that they wish that this were townhome lots or duplex lots. Heard some comments over the phone that they just don't want this project because they didn't think houses were going to go there, and that, they kind of hinders their ability to enjoy the river. But those were some of the overall comments we heard. So this is just kind of the preliminary plat and then just the rezone from industrial to residential pending once we get to the kind of final plat here. We didn't put the conditional review letter in here just because I haven't done that with our other preliminary plats that we've had. But those items will be addressed for the final plat, and you'll see that letter when we receive those additional materials next month as well. So.
So the way I understand it, when a developer comes in there, they would, to do that site, they would be responsible for the curb and gutter and tar then?
Yep. That half, they would be responsible for that.
Because that didn't happen across the street, right, when that got
Well,
developed?
they've got
The-
not the curb and gutter, but all the services. They've got assessments for the services over there. And there are assessments for services on this side too, that will be split up on those lots. As well as if we move forward with curb and gutter, which probably time, that those assessments will carry through to both sides.
They'll be assessed to both sides?
Yes, yeah, because they're still responsible for the curb and gutter on the side that's already developed. Council just chose not to do it at the time, delay it until more development. Well, here we are. More development, so.
It's up to the people that buy them lots to get assessed for the curb and gutter and everything, and
That'll be written in there that there will be assessment.
so it isn't up to the developer to put that in there.
Well, it is, but it passes on to the buyer of the lot.
Well, he or she, whoever, they can pass that along, or they could pay it and not put it on the lots.
Yeah, so if I could, so what we had previously discussed a couple of years ago was that when the city council decided to do that, it'd be assessed. So this will be a council-led project, meaning the council's got to decide when to budget, when to do it, if it's in 27 or 28. One of the things we talked with Mr. Mangan and Mr. Olson is that we would put a provision in the development agreement that they have to agree to the assessments, because what we don't want to have happen is we say the city, we do this project in 27, and then we have 5 different owners and they contest the assessments. So that's what we're going to work with Mike on, because we want to eliminate that possibility. So basically they're agreeing to the assessments, and we'll work with Mike on supporting on that. So it'll be a city project assessed to these 5 lots and the existing lots that are there now on the other side of the street.
At some point, we'll have to discuss that because we don't have it in our capital plan anytime soon. So something would have to move around for us to be able to do that. We have to carry it for 10 years. Unless, So there'll be a lot of discussion on when, if and when council wants to put curb and gutter in on that road. Financially, we're going to be a little ways up.
But we could approve this plat. They can still build on it and just be a gravel road until we decide as council when we want to assess curb and gutter. I do know I had one of the homeowners on the corner of St. Paul or Mill and St. Paul. She was okay doing St. Paul. She wasn't okay doing Mill because there's only 7 homes, I think, she said on Mill. And I said, the only way we do that is if 5 or 6 of them people said, we want curb and gutter, then we'd more than likely do it because then they all would get assessed. But she was more worried about paying for both Mill and St. Paul. I said, if we do anything, which is not in the plan yet, we're only going to do St. Paul unless Mill comes up and says, majority wants it done. And that was what, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago that topic came up.
It's been approached to council since I've been here 4 times to do St. Paul Road.
It is just big, I mean, so we can approve this plat and just still leave it gravel. And then we can address, or never address it, depending on what is brought up. Because I know 4 or 5 years ago, they wanted to develop, but I think the home property owner at the time did not want to split off the shed or something like that. So that's why that didn't go further. So when I heard about this, I'm like, oh, something has changed, so.
It'll be good. It's another 5 lots, 4 lots, 5 lots in the city by the river, you know.
I think if
Good
they
bit
flood,
developed.
we're gonna be in trouble.
Well, that's been looked at all where the flood levels are. So.
Yeah. But that hasn't been done yet, right?
What? Flood, that means we have a flood that exceeds the 100-year flood and
Yeah.
we have other problems too.
You're probably flooded before they are.
But just, by the way, just to clarify, because that was a question. So one of the things that was noted is their preliminary plat did not show the floodway, their flood fringe, which is a requirement. That was one of our comments. But we being city staff, we did check it ourselves and believe it's going to comply, but they still have to show it themselves. So.
At the hearing that we had for the planning, there was some people that live across the street, and the gal that lives on that older that side on the river. One of the gentlemen said, well, I know of a neighbor that had a foot of water in her basement. She was sitting right behind him, and she said, no, it wasn't a foot, it was 6 inches, and all of that. She's been there many years. She said it's only happened once. And because he was concerned about the flooding, and she said it's only happened once since she's lived there. And she's right next to the creek there.
There's not a resolution with this. This is just an approval, motion to approve the plat. Is there a resolution on this?
There's no resolution.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary plat.
I'll second that. Any further discussion?
Is that, would do the rezone different then?
That, I think that's part of the reason, part of this.
It says preliminary plat and rezone.
And the rezone.
Okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, passes 5-0-0. Thanks, Smile and Bill on that. 7F revised water ordinance draft. Kimberly?
Okay, well, this is something we've been talking about for a long time. And now with putting in our smart meters, we felt like this was the right time to address this. Also, we wanted the fees in the ordinance to point to the fee schedule, so we didn't have to constantly go in and update our ordinance. It just is an easier way. So some of the changes you'll notice, and Miles will chime in if I miss something, but we're talking about the smart meters, and the manual read fee is addressed in here, which would, at this current point, would be $68 a month. We would prefer that no one has a manual read. Would you say, Jeff?
Correct.
Yeah, we would prefer that nobody has a manual read, but if they do, then we have to send staff out to read. We have to bring the stuff back. Miranda has to manually enter it in. We also can't track, we cannot track their water usage. So if we have a leak, we have no way to track it if we do not have the read that we have now until after the fact when they get a gigantic bill. So we don't have.
$68 was what you guys come up with,
That's
figure
what
the
we came up
labor
with.
that would take the time to do all that.
Yep.
That's where the $68 came from.
From the reader's time to Miranda's time to manual enter and the whole shoot and match there.
And within the ordinance, it'll point to the fee schedule for these things.
Yeah.
So it's able to be changed.
Yeah.
The fee schedule rather than changing this ordinance all the time.
Yep, exactly. The other thing that the mayor has been asking about is adding a mail out utility billing fee. So we looked at it and we feel that if we were to bill for monthly billing, that a $3 fee on each bill would be reasonable. We would maybe come up with some possible incentives for people to sign up for email billing, maybe a one-time credit to their bill of $5 or, I mean, I'm just throwing things out. This would all have to be approved by you.
maybe a one-time fee to get that billing over. This is something you can discuss. We're just putting it in the ordinance for you to look at. That also would be pointed to the fee schedule. The next thing is, it's just our whole ordinance was written like quarterly still and that was, we switched to monthly billing in 2006. So our ordinance was reflecting quarterly billing. We do not quarterly bill. So we tried to make that more clear. We added we put in the street lighting fee and the stormwater fee. We wanted to change those to point to the fee schedule as well. So because you guys make examinations of them every year and decide if we're generating enough money, if we need to make some adjustments there. At first, when they first put that in, they put it in with the thought of taking some of them off, but it's difficult to do. Also, on the one page, they're talking about the penalty fees have to be established by resolution or ordinance of the city council and may be amended from time to time. Right now, if you are late on your bill, you get a $5 fee. If you're 22 cents off on your bill, you get a $5 fee. And we don't have a whole lot of problem with it. There are some people who don't pay for months at a time. So during the course of the year, they ramp up $60 in late fees, but that's just the way it is. And so that is not a new practice. It's just more codified in this ordinance. One of the things we've talked about, and Jeff and I, is that sometimes it's not a frequent occurrence, but sometimes we have someone who has a meter that won't read. And we put notes on their door, we flag their door so they will call us. We work with them. We try our best to work with them for times. The guys, Ron and the other guys, work great. Some people just won't do it. And so we were looking at something to do that. And one of the things that is available is no read fee. So basically what would happen if you get a no read and over a certain period of time, if you don't contact us, we'll put a no read fee on your bill. If you contact us and fix that meter within a certain time period, we'll take that no read fee off. It's just to try and get them to contact us and get those in. I would say probably in a year, we have maybe 6 to 10. So sometimes we have had people in the past that have short-circuited their meter and went around the meter so they didn't have readings. And we've had people that have disconnected their meter. So it is something to look into. But these are just what we put in here. We want you guys to look at it. We're not ready to take it here yet. I think if we can all wrap it all in, so we do the smart meters and do all this in one chunk, it'll be painful, but it probably will be the best way to do it. But I would like for you guys to discuss this and tell us what you would like to see. And we're here to answer. Miles has helped us a lot with it, editing, because he's kind of become acquainted with the ins and outs of ordinances. So he's been our unwilling scribe. He is, yes, he is. So there you go. Those are the basic provisions. And please give us your feedback so that we can adjust accordingly. Whatever you say is what we will do.
All kinds of homework tonight.
Or you can discuss it now and get some feelings on it.
Which we have done some discussing of
Mhm.
different fees. I know one of mine has been the time and the money we spend monthly getting our bills out. I think the postage is roughly $800 and that's just the postage. And we lose them and we have mishaps where people don't pay it on time, don't get their bill. So I just think, I think Miranda's and our city staff has better times to do than sending out the water bills when they're this big and they get crumpled in law. So that's kind of been on the office about adding a fee and going away with the actual billings.
This conversation we had last year on fees, right, the $28 and $3 fees and stuff.
Yeah.
And so that didn't get added, that fee didn't get added in back then?
No.
We just,
We were just discussing and talking, and I think it was more, I think Kim and Miranda weren't ready to implement that yet, but it was discussion that we had then.
And there were more changes that needed to be made within the ordinance. So we kind of held off and worked on that to make sure we buttoned up the full ordinance and have everything pointing to the fee schedule. So
Is this something that we can add to the fee schedule like June 1st, once it gets
You can-
accepted?
you can
Or wait till
You can
January?
amend
Or
the fee schedule as you see fit. We just would have to have an amended and a date on it, I believe.
Kim, we asked, like, when we had some discussions earlier, but is it like 50% of the people still get the little card sent out, or is it? way more?
Probably. We're getting more and more all the time. You know, a lot of people get emailed, but they still, you know, it's kind of silly. Some people get both, you know, but
and they still don't pay it on time.
who's that?
What?
They get penalized for that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
So that's covered.
Yeah.
I guess even when I said back then, it's like, when stuff goes up, I mean, when we raise kind of an automatic 3% to cover expenses and stuff anyway, so that's on our budget every year to cover stuff that has gone up.
As far as water goes, the fees?
Well, for that, I mean, we said we're sending our guys out there, but we're raising it on this end. I'm just saying, I don't, I just voted for raising the taxes for the pool. I personally don't think we keep raising all these taxes and stuff. I just don't think it's an opportune time myself this year to be doing that when we got the pool and now this added pool thing on there.
But the way I look at it, it's easy. Just get electronic bill and it's done. I mean, you have that option to get that bill with an email.
Yeah, well, right. But I'm sure there's a lot of them out there that don't have that capability either of having.
I would be
emails.
surprised if there's that many that don't have access to an email.
Well, I'm just saying probably a lot of the older people, and we keep tacking this on to these older people where that's just my opinion.
And it's something we don't, I don't know if we got a light council meeting, maybe we can add that on there and we can have discussion and direct staff of which way or how we want to do it, unless you want to do it now or we just want to table it. But I think it's something that we need to switch all these to a fee schedule instead of ordinances, which just makes the whole process easier. And by doing that, we can take care of the bill fee if we want to and whatever. I think the reading fee, I think we have to do it because it's more time on city staff and something that is not necessary, but sometimes people can be stubborn to make our job easier.
Right, or council could say that we're not doing any manual, everybody's getting the new meters, everybody's gonna use the system.
Or we shut your water off. I mean, we could say that as council. I don't want to go.
It's their choice to have this.
We've been discussing it. We haven't gotten that far yet. We've told them that it's being discussed. We formulated what we think is the fee for that. But council, you could say, hey, we're not doing any manual reads. We're putting the system in, we're automating, everybody's gonna do it.
Another thing I know that was discussed, there were some people that said, well, what if we keep the old meters, but we only get read once? And we'll just pay a whole bunch of money up front, so that we don't have to pay that read fee every month. And of course, that again is your decision, but I would be careful with precedents.
No, let me clarify that it's not an option to keep the old meter.
Oh.
The meters do not emit the RF signal that they're concerned
It's the reader
about.
that does not.
So we will replace every meter, and if you don't let us in, we're gonna shut the water off. It's the electronic, or help me, that emits a little bit of an RF signal, less than a second in a full day, I think is what it is, and it's way less than your microwave or whatever, your cell phone you probably have in your ear.
Oh, you know what that is.
So it's entirely feasible for the council to say, no, we're not even going to entertain doing any manual reads. It's going to take time that we don't need to take because it's just not worth it. But there are concerns out there.
I'm okay if they want to keep the old one. We're going to charge you whatever that fee is.
Oh, no old meters, but yeah, a manual read
Yeah.
system.
Are we pretty much, does everybody have the new system in place?
Good share of them. We had to suspend it because of the frozen ground.
Yeah, the snow cover, the frozen ground for finding shutoffs and stuff like that, just to have a safety backup in case we do have an issue when we're swapping it out and have a water leak, so that we can get the water shut off. So we will be resuming shortly. I think it's June before Jason can come back.
We about 80% in.
We're about 100 and, I want to say 140 left.
Yeah. And we, so that's about 90% because we have about 1,400 accounts, so. And we have had a lot of calls in the last month, even of people like, well, I haven't got my meter yet. So they're thinking about it and I think we'll get quite a bit of participation.
You could chew on it. Meeting.
Yeah, there's no decision.
They made, but I wanted to bring it in front of you.
Like I've stated before, the difference in the meters, the new one, even to the existing, to go to a manual read now, you're actually falling behind what you already currently have. Now you're back to having a meter reader, a person on the ground, basically like you used to do years ago, have somebody.
Yep.
So you're not, I mean, you're actually falling backwards on those manual reads.
Because you voted to spend the money to put in the new system. So.
And it helps them too. If they have a water leak, we know when they're leaking, how they're leaking, or they say we got a $300 water bill. Why is that? They can go up and look at it. Well, you got 7 showers between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. That's why it's hot. I mean, or whatever, so.
Number of gallons. I could look up, any of you that have smart meters, I could look up your usage right now and tell you when it runs. We have people call and say, mine's so high, and you go in there and you go, your water's running between 2 and 4. And more than likely it's a water softener.
Right,
And it's
where-
running every night.
Correct, as we're, now we go out, a couple of us, and troubleshoot a water softener, a leaky toilet, on foot to a person's house where they can, when they receive a phone call, they can say, well, yep, between 2 and 4 o'clock, something's going wild, so it's your water softener regen or whatever, and staying on or that nature.
I think we're supposed to talk about where our emergency shelter is. Pat, is that the back room? We were in a meeting.
Probably the one with all the cinder blocks.
Yeah, we were in a meeting earlier today in Red Wing, and when they blew the sirens, we were supposed to stop and talk about what our emergency plan was and where we're supposed to go, so.
Go stand outside and watch it,
So,
right?
yeah.
That's what we all do. So we'll table that. We'll kind of see what next week, but I would definitely like to go forward, one, to get everything on the fee schedule versus ordinances and stuff like that, and then we can discuss a couple of the other topics. Thanks, Kim, for that work. Report.
No miles.
Miles and Miranda.
Reports, Brian.
I can't think of anything right now. Something will probably pop in my mind.
Perfect. Mike, do you have anything for reports?
No.
Good to see you in person.
Yeah, well, I was in St. Paul.
Oh.
Driving down, I was way late. And so I was like, oh, this is perfect. It's right at the exit. I'm gonna go right there. So.
Perfect. Nice to see you in person. James.
Nothing tonight.
Chief.
Just a few things. Sergeant Pasquale and I got back today from the Chiefs Conference, and it was another wonderful conference. Learning a lot of emerging trends that are occurring in this field that are kind of expediting with AI and other technologies that are going to ultimately affect this industry and be very beneficial to the field of law enforcement. So I was really impressed with some of the demonstrations with drone first responders and some of the AI technologies that are coming that make your job so much simpler to make sure you can get your reports done within seconds rather than minutes. All you got to do is really, look at quality control, and everything is just how all of these vendors are combining your different resources into one thing so that you don't have all these different avenues. So a lot of things that are going to be coming up in the next few years that are going to really help this industry quite a bit. So another really good conference. An update on our employee that we had offered a position to. All her processes are done. I'm waiting for them to come in. I'm hoping to actually get her on a calendar next week ideally. So we will likely have a new employee hopefully next week starting. So Misty is looking forward to working with us very soon. Lastly, tomorrow is our memorial moment of silence. So that's going to be promptly at 12:28 is when that begins in the afternoon. And if you're able to make it, please do come. And we look forward to reflecting on Officer Gary Schroeder at that time. So that is all.
Let me piggyback on that real quick. There's also the vote at, in the House tomorrow for the Officer Gary Schroeder Memorial Highway designation. And I think that's at 1 o'clock. An email from Gary Senior. So that's
Good deal.
timely.
Yeah, very timely.
Perfect. Thanks, Chief. Bill?
I reflects that I was also in St. Paul today. I was representing the city of Zumbrota at the Capitol. So this morning in the House and this afternoon in the Senate, it was myself and Elizabeth Howard, the Pine Island City Administrator. We did testify on behalf of the North Summerlin Sanitary Sewer District about changing some funding formulas. It also gave us the chance on the Senate side to talk more about the funding of the project, where we are, updates, et cetera. So I thought it went very well. It was a good day. So now we'll see what happens the rest of the session. But good day for the city of Zumbrota, is at least getting our information across that we wanted to.
And there'll be more trips up for the administrators to talk to them. Sorry.
I think the mayor as well, right?
The mayor should go too.
I did
Mayor
it
should
twice and that was enough. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Mayor.
Stephanie?
Nothing.
Yeah? Kim? Mr. Rob?
The, you want to talk about the potential, the date for the
Yeah.
Bridgeview?
We are planning to tentatively have a groundbreaking ceremony for the Keller Bartman apartment building or Bridgeview Apartments building on April 27th at 9:30 a.m. It's weather permitting, of course, so there'll be more information when, we have a final set time, but send out most of the invites to council and to our invited participants. So there'll be more information as we get closer to that date as well.
We'll put out a press release as well. But you probably noticed that we're missing a bank building, most of a bank building. They tore it down today. I think it was the vault that was left only at about 4 o'clock when I walked over there. I've got a bunch of pictures too, so. But yeah, moving along.
Thanks, Miles. Mr. Rob? I have nothing. Wow.
I just wanted to mention, James had his yearly statistics that came out, that he presented his report, and I thought he did a very good job and does a very good job over there at the library. And I just wanted to point that out. A couple of things that really struck me, just using populations of Zumbrota at 4,000 and circulation of 83,300, comparable to Stewartville population of 6,700 and a circulation of only 72,000. And Cannon Falls is very similar in population, about 4,100, and they're down at 64,950 for circulation. So I just wanted to put a shout out to James that he does a really good job over there. That's it.
Joan? Kevin? Nothing tonight? No. Fred? Meeting adjourned. She'll be in there at 9 a.m. on the 23rd. I'll even get you to go.
I'm working at 9.
We're gonna. You are not. So am I, but I'm gonna.
We were there, you were in